The best thing is to be able to get inside the minds of other people.
Ooh, there we go.
If you develop that skill, the sky's the limit. Nothing will ever stop you. Because people are like a mystery. They wear a mask, and you don't have any idea what they're thinking. And I have this metaphor in Human Nature, which I never wrote, but imagine a device was created in which some app that you can know the thoughts and feelings of the other person. Do you know the power you would have? It'd be insane. Okay, I can't give you such an app. I can't invent that. But you can develop half of that power by becoming someone of insane empathy. And it's not easy, and not everybody's born the same way, but it begins with one very simple step. And that is, normally you go around more interested in your own thoughts and ideas. You're thinking about your boss, you're thinking about your girlfriend or boyfriend, you're thinking about this person who said this, that, or the other, and you're locked in your head, and it's like a record, like in the old vinyl days, going around and round and round the same grooves. And even when you're sitting there talking with someone on a date or something, you're thinking about yourself, you're still in there, right? Because you find yourself more interesting than the other person. And it's very human, and I'm not judging it. But inevitably, you think your own dramas, your own ideas, your own problems are essentially more interesting than the other person. So if that's your starting position, you're naturally going to be more absorbed in yourself. You just switch it around, and you tell yourself, the other person is more interesting than me. Their life, their thought, their ideas, it's like an undiscovered world. It's like going to Tahiti or something and visiting another culture. They have experiences you've never had. They have a world. It's not your world. It's fascinating. Why do people love movies? They love movies because they get to go inside other people's characters. And they get to vicariously live in them. It's voyeurism. You can have that in everyday life if you switch that thing where you're more interested in other people. And so when you listen to them, you're not listening with the idea of, do they like me? Are they thinking about me? What does it have to do with me? Blah, 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 kind of a whiny voice. What's it about me, 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 me? Thinking, just in a Zen way, absorb yourself in their words and their energy and think about what they're saying. What's the subtext behind them? What's the body language revealing? What is it that motivates them? What is their inner life like? I can't get inside Lewis Howe's thoughts. It's impossible. But I can get inside your moods and emotions because we humans are very susceptible to the moods of other people. We can feel them. So I can start to, if I'm open enough, I can understand the tone in your voice. I can understand the subtext of what you're saying, and I can pick up the emotion behind it and what you're intending. And once I do that, then if someone says something, I don't have to take it personally because now I understand that it probably from other things that have nothing to do with me. Or I want to persuade them to help me on a project. Well, now I know what their world is like, what their spirit is, what their problems are. I'm going to mold what I'm saying to get them interested in my idea. Doors open up to you, left, right, and center. The whole universe opens up to you once you're able to put yourself in the mindset and the point of view of other people, enter their spirit. That's the single greatest step you can have. So you're about to start your first job, and you're all insecure, and you're all worried about you and what people think about you. Try and it's not easy, it's not natural. Try and make that switch, and don't think about yourself, and try and figure out, what is your boss like? What is he or she? What is motivating them? What are their insecurities? What are their doubts? What is this person feeling? That. And suddenly, you're going to navigate this social environment in a much different level. People love to talk about their childhood. But I found childhood is the main thing. Everyone has this kind of emotional attachment to their experiences as a child, to where they grew up, to their parents, to their family, to their earliest friends. It's got all sorts of emotions surrounding it that are very potent and uncontrollable. So a very kind of slip-in question about someone's childhood, and then asking a few leading questions and letting them do the talking. So if you're peppering them with questions, you look like a lawyer. People love to talk. If they do 70% of the talking, they're not even aware that they're doing that, but you're letting them talk, you're letting them be the star. But you find a foothold into what excites them, and you get them to talk and open up about their childhood, and then occasionally a question, and then occasionally you go into your own life to sort of show, oh yeah, you had that, I had something very kind of similar. Mirroring people is a slightly manipulative trick. I don't doubt that, and I talk about that in Seduction, but it's very powerful. They start telling you things about their childhood that are powerful, and you go, Yeah, I had something very similar, and you probably have had something similar. That's a really potent way of connecting to people. But you've got to be subtle. It's an art to getting people to talk and open up, to finding that thing that lights their face up, that gets them excited. Mirror neurons are basically an incredibly amazing how we're able to look at another person and literally put ourselves in their position. And there's a neuron that we possess, that some primates possess, that other animals don't have, that allow us, when somebody picks up an object in our mind, we're doing the same thing, although we're not actually picking it up. And it allows us to imitate other people and to learn how to make things. You know, originally that's how we learned how to make tools, etc. Humans, going back hundreds of thousands of years before the invention of language, we're actually a very weak species. We're physically weak. We survived because we were social, we worked in groups. And if you can imagine being in a group where there are all these predators and dangers around, you don't have invented language yet, you need to understand people on a nonverbal sense. You need to be able to pick up their moods and their emotions, to be able to act in a group as one. We have that power. We have that telepathic power to get inside the perspective of other people. And the block of that is we're so immersed in our smartphones, in our technology, in social media, that we're not interacting enough with people. We're too self-absorbed. I want you to get out of that inward look that you have that's actually making you miserable, you out there, because you're not really connecting to people around you. As a social animal, that feeling of loneliness and being disconnected from people is really depressing. I want you to get out of yourself and direct that love and attention into other people. And you have these incredible tools at your disposal for getting inside other people's minds. When I'm out at Rite Aid or supermarket or whatever, I'm looking around at people and I'm trying to say, what is it like to be them? And I practice it all the time. It's kind of a writer thing. What is it like to live in their house? They don't maybe have as much money as me. They drive a different kind of car. They have these problems and that problems. And I really, with my imagination and a lot of effort, I try and put myself in their shoes. I've been doing this for years, and I can tell you that I can get a really powerful, intuitive, visceral sense of what it must be like to be other people. This is a tool that everybody has. It's not just me. It's a muscle that you have that you can exercise if you find yourself interested enough in the lives of other people. People are weird. They have their own dreams and repressed desires and things. They're like characters in a movie. They're like something out of Dostoevsky or some Tarantino film. But you don't think of it that way because you only see what they present to you. In your day-to-day interactions at the office, for instance, you're not paying attention to that colleague. You're tuning them out. You're more interested in your own problems and your own ideas. Got your own life to lead. And so you're sitting there in a conversation, but you're not listening to them. You have that internal monologue that's playing. So step number one is to be aware that you're continually listening to a voice in your head. And that voice is really, really damaging you. It's blocking you from experiencing the world and from experiencing other people. So I'm not asking for radical change in your life. You're not overnight going to become this incredible, empathic, visionary person. I want baby steps. So I want you to practice this on a day to the most banal, boring people in your life. That spouse who you completely ignore, who's so familiar to you that you never pay attention to. You know, you can live with somebody for 30, 40 years and you don't really know them. Suddenly, I want you to do an exercise where you actually try and find something out about her that you never realized before. And people are giving out all of this information. Sigmund Freud said that we ooze every day signals of our inner life through how our hands, how we hold something, through how we smile. You're missing all this information, and I want to wake you up. You're in a dream. It's like the Matrix. I'm giving you the red pill. I'm waking you up to observing all of these signs that people are emitting that you're simply not paying attention to. And from that step of now you're listening to people, maybe you'll start getting interested in them, more fascinated. You'll realize there's some things going on that are kind of exciting. It's like a movie in a way. And if you get sparked that and you go deeper, that muscle will start coming back to life. It's all about, instead of being inner-oriented, being outer-oriented. And you might find it a drag or an exercise, but it's actually therapy. If you've ever experienced a moment in your life where you were doing sports or exercise, or you're seeing a movie, getting outside of yourself and being at one with what you're doing is incredibly therapeutic.
Yeah, it's the flow state, for example.
The flow state.
Yeah.
And this is a flow state that you're going to have in your boring daily